Akademiks can't ride no wave.
It's not a long one. I won't drag it, but I do want to keep you guys updated. And I feel like each episode I try to give you a little bit of business and what's happening beyond the usual monotonous stuff we talked about. And we haven't talked about too much music today, but such is the case. A very interesting headline came out that kind of combined all of the things that we have been kind of talking about recently. So Spotify, their CEO, Daniel Ek, says it's developers, so the people who write code for Spotify, they have not written a single line of code in 2026. Now, this is very interesting because it's not, that's a huge company. There's millions and hundreds of millions of subscribers, and you need to code new products. You need to keep up with code, update code for different changes, bugs, whatever. And they said, according to them, since December, they haven't written a line of code. Why? Spotify has acknowledged the adoption of AI technology, which is writing all the code for Spotify. So Spotify, actually, the CEO is not Daniel Ek. What the fuck? Gustav Söderström. When did Daniel Ek step down? Oh, he stepped down on January 1st. Okay. He's a chairman. So he's still a founder, but he's now the chairman. Chairman is the most important role anyway. The CEO, you can be replaced. Anyway, so the new Spotify CEO said that this week, I got to figure out how to say his name, that the company's most senior developers have not written any code in weeks, and that's a positive development. They're saying it's a good thing. So when I speak to my most senior engineers, the best developers we have actually, they say they haven't written a single line of code since December. They actually only generate code. They supervise it. How do they generate it? Artificial intelligence people. They shared the revelation during Spotify's fourth quarter earnings call on Tuesday, telling investors that advancing AI is a matter of when, not if. So essentially, you have Spotify saying that their developers for the app and also the website of Spotify, you need massive amount of code to upkeep the API, upkeep the app that works on Android or iPhone that deals with this massive database that people are streaming music through. They're saying they're no longer writing code. AI is doing all the bidding. Okay, they're saying the transition is not easy, but that all of Spotify is all in on it. Now, it says there's going to be a lot of change in these tech companies if you want to stay competitive, and we're absolutely bent on leading that change. It'll be painful for companies because engineering practices, product practices, and design practices will change. The tricky thing is that we're in the middle of a change, so you got to be very agile. The things you build now may be useless in a month. AI is reshaping the global workforce, and while a few industries have escaped its impact in recent years, not everyone agrees on what the repercussion ultimately would be. Classic debate is between those who believe AI will supplant humans in the workplace, leading to rampant unemployment, and those that believe those concerns are overblown and that tech is merely an opportunity to do more in less time. Okay? Now, let me, not to really fully drag this out, I've told you about the business of like how AI is going to affect the world. Really, people are taking big bets, or these companies are taking big bets on AI and its profitability. There is a lot of popular theories that the only way AI will be profitable is if it replaces humans. So if it doesn't completely take over, it's not going to necessarily go and come. It's always going to be used to some extent, but everyone's betting that it's going to remove damn near almost like 60 to 70% of all human jobs. And why companies want to invest in it now is that if it's going to almost replace the workforce in its normal and natural form now, you want to be one of those companies that's running AI, right? Now, of course, the idea is not that people are just going to be at home not working. There's new jobs that AI will create. Maybe, that is going to be the upkeep of AI or other things, right? Anyway, beyond that, and back to the music and back to Spotify, as Spotify now publicly has admitted that they're adopting using AI completely to write its code, we have to take note of where the direction the company's going, not only on the developmental side, but also for musicians and for music. First and foremost, Spotify, about last quarter, they rolled out a new feature. It's called Remix. And if you guys haven't checked it out, if you basically could, they're giving you a chance not to just play music, but be able to play music as a DJ. So, I kind of like try to DJ I do it with YouTube. For my intro, Spotify is using an AI tool to now have users be able to kind of DJ their playlist. They also have AIs that, based on the song you play, are coming up with really interactive playlists. So Spotify is already using AIs, just to let you know. Here's the thing that becomes the conversation that is bound to happen and is going to happen soon. There's been users and growing amount of, premium users who are saying currently Spotify allows artificial intelligence created songs on their platform. Now, they have a deal with the labels that they can't put up a AI version of a Drake song, but if you want to put up an AI version of Mike the plumber song, you can. And some people would rather the music they're listening to not be AI. So they've been asking and actually demanding that Spotify put a remove AI songs from my viewing or playlist. Okay? Spotify is not committed to that, even though that noise is growing. And I'll tell you where I think it's going, and that's where we're kind of going to wrap this up here, is that Spotify, as I've told you, in how they're squeezing the revenue, they can't fuck over the labels. So what they're doing is they're fucking over songwriters. And they're saying that, hey, people are now paying for our tech that's bigger than just consuming your music. They're paying for audiobooks, they're paying for podcasts, they're paying for video and other experiences. So we could pay you less according to the law. They're screwing over the songwriters. The next thing what they're going to do is do a blanket version of having the users be able to create their own music. Okay? Now, there's many different AI companies out there that already do this, where you could just create a song based on your mood, this and third. You could say, make it sound like this. It'll do it for you. But Spotify clearly is not into protecting art. They're into making money. And whatever they can to go around having to pay these enormous licensing fees, right? And also these publishing royalties to songwriters or even to the labels, they're definitely going to do. So I'm telling you, the next frontier for Spotify and other companies of the sort, they're literally about to try to, if not replace the label, the other alternative is, well, we're just going to have all of these things be populated by AI, where the actual catalogs of these artists aren't that relevant anymore. Because if we have all the people, right, it's like when Netflix started making their own movies, right? The idea was never for them to make their own content. The idea was to get you other content streaming. But now the goal is for Netflix to make its own content. And we get to realize some of the Netflix shows we like are the ones they created themselves. Because, if, let's say, I don't know, let's say Training Day gets on Netflix. Well, some people seen it, some people didn't. If Money Heist, that, supposedly was, I think they licensed that too. But if they create their own things, everybody's seen it for the first time. That's why I believe they invested severely in Squid Games. So with these companies, they don't necessarily care about the art. Netflix don't give a fuck about actually the filmmakers and movie makers and, the fucking actors guilds and, these SAP people or whatever, these writers. They don't care about that. They care about subscribers and tech. AI is going to help them get around some of these robust companies in terms of catalog. So it's going to help Spotify get around possibly Warner. And I'm pretty sure there's going to have a lot more conversation with that. Warner, Universal, and Sony. But it's also going to get around a lot of these writers and artists who think that, hey, listen, we have leverage because we're the creators. They're pushing towards models that's going to show that music could be created by artificial intelligence just as good. And at that point, they get to devalue an artist even more. I'm going to leave you guys with that tidbit for, in terms of, Business Insider, or if you wonder where this industry is going. It's not looking good for the creator. I actually predict that in the future, sweatshops in terms of like, writing camps and things like that will be completely replaced by AI, and how AI will be working with music and musicians. And, won't say what artists, but there's a lot of artists now that's using AI to help their music already. So this is here, people. I think the consumer, we're going to be fine. I think the artists themselves, they're going to either have to adopt, because the streaming services are adopting. The streaming services are adopting. The labels are always slow because they have the catalog. The songwriters, they need to get in the game. All right. All right, chat. Thank you guys for watching today. I will see you guys tomorrow, and I appreciate every single person who stayed in here, whether you stayed for the entire 8 hours. I look at my clock right now. It says 8 hours and 1 minute, including our intro, obviously. So probably about 7 hours and 30 minutes for the rest of you guys on YouTube. And I want to say I appreciate you guys. Hopefully this was a W stream. Get some work done, get some sleep, do what you got to do. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, man. Thank you. Ain't nothing big in the chat. Peace.